Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to an emergency episode of the Uncommon Commentators podcast. We're really grateful for y'all joining us as always. Like we always say, y'all could be anywhere else, but you're here with us. So, clearly, a landscape shifting occurrence has transpired inside of the National Basketball Association. If you were awake last night, you found out the news that Luka Doncic will now be a Los Angeles Laker, and Anthony Davis will now be a Dallas Maverick. Absolutely amazing trade to see transpire right before the deadline. Extremely entertaining, as we all know. The NBA to be around this time of year. But before we get into that, gotta ask my boys how they're doing. Garrett, how you doing, man? And Wiley second, how you doing, brother?
In shock, man. I'm just in complete shock. I can't even like process this, but I'm good. But I will say this is kind of good for the Hawks, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. And Wiley.
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm same way. Shocked. Didn't know how to process this. Again, 4 in the morning, getting the text at like 12:30ish whenever it happened, but then waking up at 4 and then like, hey, like first of all, what's going on? Secondly, is this real? No, it is real because ESPN finally like ESPN broke it. So I was just like, it's been a it's been a day, and that's to include the WNBA stuff that I've been trying to keep up with too. So it's been a heck of a Sunday, man.
Nah, exactly. Obviously, we know about the WNBA free agency as well, like multiple moves, including the Atlanta Dream having an extremely active offseason with Dan Padover in the front office. He was also the former executive of the year, former two-time executive of the year, when he was the GM for the Las Vegas Aces. He helped construct that core that won that championship back in 2023. So, it's really cool to see the Dream really be this active. You know, obviously all the Atlanta front offices have a reputation for not being that active during their off seasons or their trade deadline. So it's cool to see them get a three-time All-Star and Brianna Jones, and of course the legendary BG Brittany Griner, who will accompany. We already have two All-Stars in Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, the former number one overall pick out of Kentucky. So it's really cool to see like the entire league really get new pieces. Like obviously we saw the Connecticut Sun. They got rid of everyone basically. You know, like DJ Carrington. We know that. Alyssa Thomas is also gone now, so I believe she's on the Mercury now. So it's really crazy to see all these trades really transpire. But of course, we can only talk about one. There's multiple we could talk about, but we're gonna focus on the big one that transpired, the one that's honestly gonna go down in NBA history 20 years from now when we look back on it. But Garrett, I'm gonna start with you. You woke up to the trade. I saw your text message, your reaction, of course, your live reaction. How did you feel about the Luka Doncic trade? And we'll start with the Lakers first. How do you think this impacts LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, their present and their future?
Yeah, man. Like you said, I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and then of course our friend Jerome Boateng, shout out to Jerome, had texted us, about the trade. And when I saw it, I'm just like, okay, I think he just like pulling my leg, just trying to be funny.
Mhm.
And when I went on X and then looked at it, I was like, oh, like he wasn't kidding. I was like, man, this is just crazy. But and for me, I guess, excuse me, I guess for the Mavs as to why they made this trade, you can understand it to a certain extent. But for me, it's like, okay, if you were going to trade Luca, if you already had this in the back of your mind, right? If you were going to trade Luca, I think it would make more sense to trade him in the off season for two reasons. One, when you look at the moves that they made for the past 2 summers, right? You've added Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall. You built this defensive force around both Kyrie and Luca. So, and not to mention that they just went to the finals last year too. So, with that being said, one would think that okay, we would run it back this year and see where we can go. And if the Mavs happen to make it to the finals again or possibly win it all, then that could change your perspective on what you want to do with Luca. But even that, no matter what the outcome would have been this season, I would have waited till this off season to trade him because I feel like based on what they got in this deal, I think they would have received more. I'm not sure if they will receive another all-star caliber player in Anthony Davis. They may have, but I think for draft capital, I think they would have received a lot more than just one draft pick. But I will say that this move does make the Mavs better short term only because of the fact that Anthony Davis is a guy that can give you, 25 and 12, really every night, and along with, 2 or 3 blocks. So you're getting a guy who's a really good offensive player, but is a great defensive player as well. And if you just think about adding, AD to all those other guys I just named with Gafford and Lively, I mean, this definitely could take them to the finals and could possibly win it. So I think for the short term, I think this does work well for the Mavs, but I think for the long term, that's where it's going to get, real, difficult to, build this team into a championship contending team again because both AD and Kyrie, they're both in their early 30s. So, who knows how long they're going to be in the league. But that's what I would say for Dallas. But for the Lakers, obviously this is a good move for them for the long term. And the Lakers, they've been in the market for a long time, searching for another star to replace LeBron because we all know that he's on his last leg. He's this. I'm not sure how long he's going to be in the league. Maybe for another year, before he retires. But obviously they're looking for another guy to come in and be the face of the franchise because we know the Lakers, they're one of those teams that always has a face of the franchise, a global icon, LeBron, Kobe Bryant, Kareem, now Luka and other guys I can name. So this does work for them for the long term future. Now the question is, how are they going to build around Luca for the long term? And we've seen reports today that they're looking for a legitimate big because that's what they do need. They don't have a legitimate big man in the post no more after AD's departure. So be on the lookout for that. But in terms of the health issues, yes, I think that that's something that can be managed, and that's kind of another reason why I didn't think the that Dallas should have traded Luca unless this has been going on for quite some time that we don't know about. And Luca just has not been able to get his health together. So that may be a reason. But we know that new details are still coming in because this just broke out, last night. So, still more details about the trade and inside information still coming out. But yeah, but overall I think that it works for both sides. Like I said, for the Mavericks, it works for them short term, and for the Lakers, it works for them long term. So this is one of no doubt one of the craziest trades and possibly the most stunning trade that we've seen in NBA history. But like I said, it works for both sides, but just to a certain extent in different terms.
hmm And yeah, I definitely want to co-sign what you said a little bit. I'm about to let you go in a minute, Wiley. I want your take second, but there were reports that Luka was ballooning up to 270 pounds while playing for the Mavericks, and we all know that people love to crack jokes on him about his physique. But I just think the game comes so easy to Doncic that he really didn't see a need to really try to keep his physique really at tip-top shape. But he said it when he came in like his rookie year. He was like, "Oh, like the NBA is so easy. These guys don't play defense," like he's always documented how easy he thinks the NBA really is. And I think that showed in his attitude on the court, especially when when you can put up the numbers that he has while not even being at tip top shape. It makes you wonder how good he would really be if he was in a situation where he knows the team, because obviously Dallas has struggled during his tenure. If he knew the team was going to be good every single year when he came back down in October, I think that would light a fire under him, especially playing on a stage like the crypto.com arena and all the jerseys that are up in the banners. I think he's really gonna take that to heart. Especially knowing he had somewhat of a good, a good relationship with Kobe Bryant. The pictures that people saw them take together. Kobe was on record saying that Luka was one of his favorite players, and of course, Luka definitely likes LeBron as well. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that right quick, because they did say he was ballooning up in weight a lot, similar to the Zion situation, but he was still putting up incredible numbers, of course, and we'll see how it goes. But Wiley, I would love your take on the situation for both teams, and I'll go last after you.
I mean, for the most part, I agree with everything that Gary said as far as like short term. Short term, it's perfect for Dallas. As much as people like Dallas fans loved Luka, like you still have Kyrie at your point, and now you get to add another big man in Anthony Davis. And yes, I've got my my fair share of jokes on him, because anytime he hits the floor, everybody takes a breath. It's like, is he gonna be all right? Is he hurt? But we just saw this dude in his last game for the Lakers go for 40 and 20.
Mhm.
So now you take that over to Dallas, and I mean, the sky's the limit, because if, of course, in this previous interview, he was saying, hey, it would be, pretty much it would be great if the Lakers could could trade for a big. That way I can move to the four, and because that's where I'm most comfortable at. And cool, but of course, when you're dealing with the Lakers, you gotta you gotta get it. Pretty much, it's a get down or lay down type situation. And the way that they constructed that team, hey, he had to play the five, because of the way that team was constructed. There did not have any. You don't have any faith in Jackson Hayes being able to play the five along with AD like that, just on the strength of basketball IQ, physicality, and just being able to coincide with AD like that. And the way he plays, he's a I would like to say he's an inside out guy, but sometimes he will start outside and work his way in, because if that jumper falls for AD, then you get then you get his entire repertoire after that, because it's hard to guard a big guy, somebody that's 7 feet, and can put the ball on the ground. He can shoot it, like he can back you down. Like he has all of the qualities that you want in a guy like that. It's just a fact of freaking needing him to play the five, and him wanting, like, it was like a double-edged sword for him. They needed him to play the five. He's more comfortable at the four. So you got what you got in that situation. Like I said, but for the Mavs, it's perfect. You have two centers already in Gafford and Lively. You bring in AD at the four. Like you're pretty much good to go right now, for a run right now, as long as everybody's healthy. Granted, if you watch Dallas today, you had numerous players injured. Kyrie, PJ Washington, they had a list, and they were getting their doors blown off, and rightfully so. Um, from the Lakers standpoint, I mean, I guess I did not understand this from the Lakers standpoint. I know we'll dig into it a little bit here, because of the press conference that the Mavericks had, and I agree with you. That was some nasty work. That is nasty work on both teams. It's even more insane when you listen to that press conference. Uh,
Jason Kidd was hot.
oh
I know
my
he was hot.
god!
I
If
know he was hot.
I will save my Jason Kidd thoughts for when we get to that. But yeah, for the Lakers, like, I don't know where they go from here. I mean, if Luka's gonna be your number one, then you have to find him a number two, like, immediately. LeBron's not gonna be here much longer. another year, and that may be it. Who knows with LeBron? Although I do find it hard that nobody was informed, but the more you kind of looking, shake the trees a little bit, the more it's like, um, this may have been between the GMs, and they really, it was like a scratch my back and I'll scratch yours
Mhm.
type. This what the this deal looks like. I mean, again, I don't know where the Lakers go from here, because now you have to make another move, and you don't have much cachet to use to even get somebody else. So it's either you make a move now, or you gonna play this season out and figure it out during off season. So we'll see what happens.
Mhm. I agree with everything both of you said. I like what Garrett said about it being one of the biggest trades in NBA history. I truly do believe like 10 to 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about this because obviously Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis will go down to be two future Hall of Famers. So I think that's pretty evident with what they have showcased so far. So I'm really excited to see how the rest of their careers play out, and we're about to see how it goes because they obviously got traded for each other. But I want to peel this back in layers, though. I'm starting off with the Lakers side, and then of course we can move on to Dallas. So for Los Angeles, like both of you said, I think this was a matter of, and I even tweeted this last night. It was a matter of them getting like that, like their new superstar for the future. Luka Doncic is only 25 years old, and he turns 26 on February 28th, the last day of this month. So he has a lot of time for them to still build around a whole nother team if they want to do that. I do like what Wiley said. They're not going to have much time to do that. We know how impatient Luka can be. It's a whole new franchise, so I think that might be a big factor in it with him having more patience than he normally would with how much they will be losing, because obviously Luka's not going to impact them on the defensive end like that. He's going to be the whole franchise outside of that, whether revenue, offense, everything, but he's just not going to be able to improve them on defense. So they're going to have to make some big moves to really improve it. There was rumors coming out that they wanted to trade Rui Hachimura. I think that's over now, knowing that they're definitely going to have to build a wall around Doncic to really maximize his abilities. Jackson Hayes is in the post, and when you really look at the roster, they're relatively young. Dalton Connect's 23, Christian Coloco's 24. Austin Reeves is still only 26 years old, and that's another thing. You have Austin Reeves in your back pocket still in that backcourt, so we'll see if they do start Luka at the one and have Austin as his two. That's a good scoring backcourt, but again, obviously on the defensive end, they're gonna take some hits, and I feel like that's really what the first couple years of having Luka on the team is really going to be about. Them just trying to really improve the defense, like in from in like during the 25-26 season, during 26-27, they're gonna look really good, have one of the best offenses in the league. I really do believe that, but I think their defense is what's gonna keep them around somewhat of like a fourth seed, like a fifth seed. I do think they'll find remote success. I do think that JJ Redick can be a good coach for Luka Doncic. I think JJ Redick, being a former player, Luka is going to respect that absolutely. I think he respected Jason Kidd, and I think he'll do the same for JJ. And for the Lakers, again, like obviously we know that LeBron doesn't have much time left. He could continue to play if he wanted to, but I just don't think he wants to. He knows there's nothing left. He literally has to prove he already has the most points of all time, 4 rings, of course. Like anything needed to be done, he's already done it, of course, outside of winning a Defensive Player of the Year award. So LeBron definitely doesn't have much time left. So this was all about their future. So this definitely wasn't like a win now move, even though we're accustomed to the Lakers always trying to win now. It's just not going to happen. I don't think they even have the mindset of trying to win a championship this year. We'll see how active they remain with the time they have left on this free agency deadline. NBA trade deadline. It ends on February 6th. So they have 4 days left as we record this. So we'll see how much they can build around him in this one season. Acquiring him in the middle of the year is definitely going to take some adjustments on the offensive end. We know his extremely high usage rate and sharing the ball with LeBron. It's going to take some time. Of course, you won't have to do that for much longer, but if they're going to try to still win some games near the end of this year, they're going to have to get used to that early, having two ball dominant superstars like that, and making them try to like develop that chemistry in a short amount of time is going to take a little bit. And like what Garrett said, I just think like with how young their team is and like them having to build like with Jackson Hayes and things of this nature, it's really gonna take a long time. So throughout the next couple years, as we look towards the future with the Lakers, I think it's gonna take a little bit for them to really win. That's why like it's a big part. Luka's age is really a big part of this acquisition. Him being 25, I think by the time he's 28, 29, they'll really finally have that good team around him. And when they're good, they're going to be good for a while. Luka also put out a statement on his Instagram account. He even said in the statement he thought he would retire in Dallas. So I guess there was more to the trade than everyone thought. I think they really got tired of Luka's work ethic here and there. Obviously, he put up amazing numbers, but there'd be certain things that they would want Luka to do, and like he wouldn't do it. Of course, like he would still put up amazing numbers, but when that friction begins with the front office, I mean, it's kind of hard to find a resolution when two parties really have two different end games like that. And
I think it's something bigger than that. I think it's something bigger than that we can get to.
And even then, like obviously, finishing it on the Lakers, because again, like I said, they're not gonna win significantly like that by the end of this year. I don't think bringing Doncic on, they're gonna win some games, but I don't think even Jeannie Bust, I doubt they think they're gonna win a championship this year. So this year is really about us building for the future. They have taken a massive step in the right direction with that, acquiring a young superstar who's going to bring in a lot of money off the court and produce amazing numbers on the court. They just have to really look towards the future now with building around him. Like they were a win-now team with two superstars over the age of 30, but now they're in a whole different situation with a young superstar in the middle of his 20s. So they really have to try to find a way to build around him in a real fast manner of time. Like they can't keep Luka till he's 30 or unless he'll be on a third team. And it's rare to see a player of that caliber play for multiple franchises. So we're going to see how the rest of the Lakers year turns out. They still have LeBron James. They have Luka Doncic. Now they have two superstars at the top of the roster. That they still have Austin Reeves. And a big part of this as well is Luka's contract. They're also going to have to pay him when it's time to. He has about 2 years left on that rookie extension that he signed from the Lakers. So I mean from the Mavericks. So when it's time to pay up, they're definitely gonna have to. He's gonna give a heavy bargain. I think other teams are also obviously going to try to get Luka, and depending on where the Lakers are at that time, we'll see if he wants to stay, if they're finding success or not. And yeah, like that's really all we can really say about the Lakers, honestly. Like, I don't want to say like they're rebuilding, but I don't think this trade necessarily is going to take them to the top of the Western Conference like that. I think they will remain in the middle of the pack. It's just they set up their future in a great way now with their new young head coach, their new young superstar, and LeBron James, who's about to be out the door in a couple years. So it was just a massive move for the Lakers, one we didn't think they would make. And we'll see how it affects their future. And like one thing I did want to say before I got to the Mavericks, it's just funny because like obviously Luka Doncic and Trae Young will be linked together forever because of their draft night trade. And it's just pretty ironic because for years there were reports of Trae Young going to the Lakers because obviously he also has a mansion in Los Angeles. But it ended up being Luka, the guy like he's connected to and stuff like that. So that's it on the so that's it on the Lakers side. And for the Mavericks, they're getting an Anthony Davis who has played 42 games this year after having a reputation of not being that active. Like Wiley mentioned, every time he hits the floor, people gasp and like they clutch their chests and things of that nature. But I think he's heard all that noise and he's honestly really put in an effort to dispel those narratives. Like I said, he's played 42 games this year, and on those 42 games, he's averaged 26 points and 12 rebounds a game. So he's most definitely still Anthony Davis. He has not slowed down in the slightest. And 31 years old, he's still in his prime. I don't think AD will start to teeter off until like 34, somewhere around there, when he really starts to lose his athleticism and he has to lean on his jump shot more. And for Dallas, obviously, like Kyrie Irving is still playing at a really high level. He's averaging 24 points with 5 assists and 5 rebounds a game right now. So they have two bona fide superstars again at the top of the roster. This improves their defense soundly. Something they were already trying to do when they had Luka, like Garrett mentioned, when they acquired PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. We saw what it did for them when it took them to the finals. All they had to do was improve their defense like that, after already having a stellar offense with a superstar like Luka. And we saw what it did for them. And yeah, this is also one of the things I was going to get to, was the tandem between Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. I'm really excited to see what it looks like. I think obviously we've seen Kyrie throughout his career, like he'll rarely average over 5 assists, 6 assists, stuff like that. But I think now that he will have to definitely play the point guard role with Luka gone like that, I think he'll do it no problem having Anthony Davis down low like that. I don't think it'll take them long to really get in a rhythm, honestly. I think it's gonna be pretty easy. Kyrie's played the point guard position for most of his entire career. He'll know what to do in the pick and roll, like the pick and pops, because we know AD can also spread the floor. And this was a win now move for the Mavericks versus the Lakers, where acquiring Luka was for their future, really. And like they might be cool with a little rebuild in like the next 2 years, something like that. The Mavericks are trying to win now with a 32-year-old Kyrie and a 31-year-old Anthony Davis. Those are two bona fide superstars at the top, and like they still have a great roster behind them with players like Daniel Gafford, Spencer Dinwiddie. The Lakers also traded Max Christie as well, and we can't forget about Max Christie, a good young upcoming talent. He's averaging 9 points a game, but there's been multiple games this season where he's put up 20, 18, 17. So he's developing nicely as well for them. He'll be a good piece off the bench, absolutely. I'm really high on Jaden Hardy. I also like Najee Marshall for sure. And I think the Mavericks, Charles Barkley came out in a recent interview, like I think it was today, and he said this makes them like the second seed in the Western Conference. I won't go that far. I do think on paper they're good enough to definitely be a top 4 seed with their great defense and their great offense. You know that defense wins championships, and Kyrie Irving is still playing at a really high level on the offensive end. Shooting 41% from 3, 90% from the free throw, and 48% overall. So, again, it was a landscape shifting trade. I think both sides came out good. People keep saying the Mavericks got fleeced and stuff like that. I don't believe that. Anthony Davis had just signed a contract extension with the Lakers, and they got him on that now. And I think like they're gonna be perfectly fine. Like he won't be an unrestricted free agent until 35 years old. So they got some time in these next 2 years, especially like this year. The rest of this year is whatever, because they know like they would have had to try to cram everything and try to get used to each other in a fast amount of time, versus next season where they have the whole off season. They have training camp to get prepared. I think next season we'll see the full version of the Dallas Mavericks. The end of this season, they're really just going to try their best to go deep into the playoffs. I do think they're a playoff team. Absolutely. And I think they got better with this trade. I don't think they got worse at all. I think the team has improved. Anthony Davis can score and defend at a really high level. He can shoot 3, score in the post. He can score all 3 levels and defend. Perimeter, interior, doesn't matter. And like Kyrie, he's had some health issues a little bit this year, but we know he will be healthy when the time matters the most. So I like the trade for both teams. The Lakers are in a whole different position. They just know, like, with an aging state, because they were putting everything in on LeBron James. If you have LeBron James on the roster, like I said this on our previous podcast, as long as he's on that roster, they're gonna try to win. But I guess for right now, they were just looking towards the future, and they thought, man, like, because, they really know LeBron doesn't have much time left, and it's better safe than sorry. And they pulled the trigger in the middle of the season because, like Garrett said, you think they would make this during the offseason, but no, they did it before the trade deadline, which is normally a win now move for teams. But I just think they wanted to get Luka as fast as possible, and not play around in the offseason at all. And like Rob Pelinka pulled the trigger. So we'll see how it affects both teams. Like I said, I think both teams won in this trade. I don't think the Mavericks got worse by any means. I actually think they improved a lot. Especially when Derek Lively returns and you have those 2 twin towers in the post like that. I think they're going to be really, really good. That's 2 lob threats for Kyrie Irving, 2 athletic centers who can move their feet and rebound at a high level. And for the Lakers, Like Garrett said, we're accustomed to them having an icon, a superstar, and they got that now. Luka Doncic is regarded as one of the greatest European players, literally of all time, and he hasn't even hit his prime yet. And now we will see that he's going to hit his prime in a Laker uniform. So I like the trade for both teams. I think it's really beneficial for both teams and what they're trying to do. The Mavericks are trying to win now. The Lakers are building for the future, and that's it.
I was going to say short term, the Lakers lost this trade.
You think so?
It does nothing for them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does nothing for them right now. Luka's not. He's not your great defender.
Exactly.
That you need at the point position. Can he shoot the ball? Absolutely. Can he set you up? Absolutely. But you still have. It's two sides to the ball. So, and we know how LeBron is. We know how he is when he's out there. If you're not playing your part, one, he gonna let you know, but two, he will also shut down on you.
For sure.
We've seen it time and time again.
And another thing, just to add to that, that's literally the whole point as to why, Hawks fans, including myself and Antoine, are very happy, because now the Lakers, they've gotten worse for at least for this season, because of the fact that, to Wiley's point, Luka is not a great defender. We all know that. They don't have a legitimate big, down there in the front court with LeBron. So, I mean, and honestly, let's just be honest here. I think that both the Lakers and the Mavs, they're going to make more moves. So I'm not saying that the Lakers are going to like bottom out or anything like that, but I'm just saying that with that pick that the Hawks own from the Lakers for this year's draft, you can definitely bet it's going to be more valuable, because now you're betting the Lakers are going to be worse. Yes, they could bring in another big and still try to compete, so it's not out of the woods yet. But just knowing that Luka is out for the time being as of right now, he should be coming back soon at some point. And like I said, they don't have a legitimate big right now. And like I said, Luka's not a strong defender, so you expect them to, be worse to a certain extent. So, this Thursday is the trade deadline. So now you're expecting more teams to make more phone calls and make more moves. So we could definitely even see, bigger moves to happen. So, but I think that, as for this season, it's kind of like, hey, we'll still try to compete, but we're not gonna like go all in, because this is a long term move. So they still have ways to go.
Exactly. And that's why I said for the teams, because it's two teams that are in two different positions. Like the superstar, like the Lakers are pushing all the chips in the middle of the table for. He's old now. He's about to retire. And you don't want to risk like him just like catching a season ending injury. And then like, next season, hey guys, I'm too banged up. I just can't do it anymore. And now like they don't have anyone. We've seen LeBron. He suffered a foot injury. I believe it was last year. And it's getting to a point at his age, his body is starting to deteriorate. 40 years old is 40 years old, regardless of who you are. Father time will always win in the end. And I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, shout out to the 40 Club.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Of course, absolutely. Yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to make it that far. It's a blessing to make it that far. LeBron James can only because you see him smiling all the time and stuff, like even like if they're losing stuff like it's like he's just enjoying the ride at this point. There's nothing left for him to do. He has achieved his wildest dreams since he was a child. He wakes up in the morning feeling so he cannot do nothing all day and still feel so accomplished. Like there's nothing he chooses to get out of bed in the morning every day. LeBron James. So it's over. It's about to be over in like a year, like 2 years. I'm not gonna lie, like that's gonna hurt, man. Seeing him leave like that, and like and before you go, Wally, like that's why I say with the Lakers, like with this situation, like they knew what this was about. They want it to be a superstar. They don't want because take like a Donovan Mitchell for example. His team, he's the head of the roster of like the head team that's in the top of the Eastern Conference right now. But most people wouldn't consider Donovan Mitchell a superstar like that. Like they want like a face, a name that is revered as a superstar, and they got that. And he's only 25 years old. With 2 years left on the contract. He has a player option during the 26-27 season. So we'll see what Doncic decides to do. But I do think that because they're basically hitting the reset button. Like, it's like, okay, the Lakers always going to have a superstar. He's going way back in time because he's way younger. And like, they just got to build around him now. And like, that's it. So I think for the situation that the Lakers are in, I think they did a pretty good job at this point. They just got to swing for the fences, try to get some draft picks, like try to get some capital, like try to make some trades, like. But on paper, they have what they need, which is mandatory. The Lakers having a superstar, and now outside of that, like they just kind of worry about the rest later. That's really how it looks right now with the moves that they're making versus like the Mavericks. Again, they got two superstars who are still like in their prime, relatively in their early 30s. So that's a win now move for sure, in my opinion. But like Wiley said, absolutely, I agree. It's not gonna make them better right now. That's why I mentioned Luka's defense, and we'll see how it goes. But to your point, Wiley, with what you were gonna say, I'm sorry about that.
Now, I was going to say, but what happened to AD taking the keys from LeBron? Like, what happened to all of that? Because that's the
See,
part. That's the part that gets me. All of a sudden, you make a shift because when you first get AD, oh, AD's next. AD's next. He's going to take over when LeBron retires, and it's a up and down. It's had its ebbs and flows. Yes, they win the championship during the pandemic, but it still had its ups and downs when it came to that. So what happened to AD being the guy, and then all of a sudden, hey, we shipping you to Dallas? Like what?
Well, just to add some information to that, because when I was digging deeper as to how this came about, because I'm not sure if you knew, Wiley, but the Lakers, they between the Lakers and AD, there was some friction going on because of when he sat down during that interview about him saying, "Hey, we need a center so that I can play my natural position." It's
Mhm.
like after that situation, that's when things just start, fall apart. People within the front Lakers front office, grew frustration. So that's kind of how it shifted. And to be honest, I can understand it from AD side. And let me just say this here, and just to make sure I'm clear. I'm not pointing the finger at LeBron because we all know where he is at his career and the kind of influence he has as a player. Of course, you know, no matter what team he's on, of course, the front office is going to get his opinion on the kind of players that they need to build around. And we all remember when the Lakers won the championship in the bubble, AD was playing at his natural position, right? So it makes sense for AD to grow some frustration because even for me, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree that hey, if they were able to find a legitimate big and have AD play at the four, then you raise your ceiling as a true, championship contending team. Because obviously we see what AD, does at the center spot, and we all know what he can do at the four spot, and we all can agree that he's better playing at the four, and that raises your ceiling. But I could see, from your side why like okay, AD is supposed to be the guy after LeBron, and now you see this. But and that's been going on for a while too, because obviously, Antoine knows too about Trey Young rumors going to LA, having him to pair with him and AD and stuff. So but yeah, but under the same breath, it just seems like when situations take place where there's just friction, it's just like teams are not really gonna go through that, and obviously, this was the perfect time to make that deal and have a new, fresh start. And obviously, this does help for the Lakers for their long term plans with Luka and the future of the franchise going forward.
I would believe in it more. And Jay, you right. That 2020 team, that was the perfectly set up team for them. Like they had everything they needed from top to bottom, and
Yep.
they blew that shit up immediately. Why? Do not know. Don't know what was going on with in Rob Palinka's head from getting rid of Alex Caruso to letting KCP sign elsewhere. Like it, everything
I
just
think I,
began to
I think
blow up.
I think yeah I think LeBron had some to do with that because remember they end up getting Russell Westbrook after the fact.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
and
and
then
that and,
and
that, and
then
that's
tried
that's
to
the
make
thing
some
that I
mistakes.
had. Yeah, that's it's an issue too because it's like for me, if you're coming fresh off of a championship that you won, and I mean that roster has so much depth. I mean it was perfect for AD and LeBron. I would have not touched that roster until there was, well, I want to say another move, but until it was just like, hey, you're just not able to hold on to that roster. And I feel like that they should have. If you're coming off of a championship, you run it back with the same guys and see if you can do it again. You
Exactly.
never touch it. So that never understood. I never understood that at all. And I'm pretty sure that some people in the Lakers organization felt like, man, if we just kept the same roster, we would have at least probably made another championship run. You may not have won it again, but you never know. But it just never made sense to me. And to this day, I still think about that. Like, why would you do that? But
Now, I will say I was never a big fan of trying to give the keys to AD because of when you look at his what he did in New Orleans, he he did what he was supposed to do because he was on a terrible team. That's just like
Mhm.
Kevin Love when
right,
Kevin Love was on the T Wolves. Of course, somebody got to score. Somebody got to do the work. So that was the same with AD. And I've said this before on my podcast. I'm like, AD is what everybody excuse me, Giannis is who everybody thought AD was. Like when we saw Giannis took over and dragged the Bucks to a championship. We've never seen AD do that. I don't think we'll ever see AD do that unless he and that's not to say he's not capable of it. But we in from the time that he's been in New Orleans to the time that he got to the Lakers, like we've never seen him just, hey, I got this type shit. Like get on my back, I got us.
And like, see, and like that was the thing too, because like the more I think about it, I do think the Lakers honestly made a really good move, man. It cushioned their rebuild a lot, man. Like they don't have to even think about, oh man, like who are we gonna get? Like they don't have because yeah, like you say, like you just go back in time to yesterday with LeBron and AD still on the roster and stuff. Like again, it doesn't change the fact that LeBron James is on borrowed time, like 1 year left, maxed maybe,
But he's been on
and
ball time for a minute. It's just the fact that he's been able to keep his body up.
keep playing like this
yep,
and like in it because like
hmm
for them like they didn't want that reassurance. They know he could pull the plug at any moment. He just don't want to do it no more at a certain point. And they didn't want that. They wanted someone they knew that was young, that's going to be there for the future, and they still want to continue to compete. And they know like and that's why I mentioned like the whole Donovan Mitchell thing. Like they know like for them to have a star, it can't just be a star. Like it has to be a bona fide top 5 player in the league, superstar, just to get the people through the crypto.com arena doors. Like it has to be someone in like that, in like the purple and gold. So the more I think about what the Lakers did, I mean, I think it honestly was like low key, like because I mean, like, what was the ceiling left for LeBron and Anthony Davis? Were they going to win a ring like the next 2 years? Like, were we going to have a 41-year-old LeBron? He obviously could have done it and stuff, but like, was he going to win like the Finals MVP? Like, was all that really going to happen? I just think they weren't trying to run the risk of that, and they just wanted to really have like the softest cushion for their rebuild that they could have, and they got that. It's Laker money. They're going to have the money to extend Luka, whether it's like 280, 290, 300 million. Like, they're going to pay him for certain, because they're not going to have LeBron to pay no more. Like all that money they're getting now is absolutely for Luka. They know he's going to ask for a lot, and they're going to give him exactly what he wants because they know they want to have, especially because obviously like they've had their eyes on him for a long time. For him to be at the top of the list for that, for guys they wanted, like. Because trading Anthony Davis, you could get Anthony Davis for almost anyone in the league. Like, of course, like it's hard to get like a Giannis. Like it's hard to trade for like players of that caliber, but it damn sure got you a Luka Doncic. So for that to happen like that, I think the Lakers, I think Rob Pelinka, if I'm him, I'm feeling like kind of satisfied because they weren't going to win a ring this year anyway. Was it going to happen next year? I don't know. So it was just
Hell
like,
no.
so
Hell no.
exactly, yeah. So exactly, so it was
yeah,
just so yeah. It was just like, yeah. At this
yeah.
point, let's just go ahead and get the ball rolling. Let's go ahead and get it rolling. Now we know LeBron can ride off into the sunset. When that notification comes out, we won't be so. Oh man, AD's 32 years old. We only have like 2 years left to try to find a replacement. There's none of that. Luka, like he hasn't even turned 26 years old yet. So it's like, It's like, yeah, like if I'm Rob, I'm like, okay, y'all, hey, we weren't gonna when we're only accustomed to winning championships and we're not doing that right now. Anything other than that is a failure to us. So we're just gonna go ahead and just get rid of the old, out, literally out with the old and with the new, and that's what they did. So I think it was honestly a really good trade for. If I'm a Laker fan, I'm feeling happy for the future. We weren't gonna what were LeBron and Anthony really gonna do with the time they had left like that? At least I know for the future we have a really like, hey, the 2031 Lakers might have a great chance at.
When have the Lakers ever been about the future?
But
Never.
like, but see,
They
like,
they've had they pretty much had their future lined up when they drafted Lonzo and they had all those young key pieces back then. They did not want to groom them and develop them because you had Lonzo.
yeah, Julius
Yeah,
Randle at one point,
yeah, you had Julius Randle, you had
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram, Jordan,
Mhm.
uh,
Josh Hart.
yeah, Josh Hart. You had Clarkson. Like you had all those pieces that you literally could have made that team into what the Warriors did when they drafted Steph, Dre, and Clay. Like
Absolutely, and
they
like,
made that, but of course certain things happen, i.e. Steph's ankles, so that that extension was a lot less than what he would have gotten had he not got injured and he was Steph of what we know of. But they were able to make something of that and develop that three and build around it. And you mean to tell me that you couldn't pick three? I um freaking Bi, um, Julius Randle, and Lonzo Ball, and then work around that.
for sure, and like I agree with what you say. Like I will say this to that, like it's like, do any of those players have any remote near potential like of Luka Doncic? Like we know what like Lonzo went on to be. Like we knew he went on to be injury prone. We know what Brandon Ingram, of course, he went on to be a great scorer, but as well, he's also injured as well. Julius Randle went on to be the best one out of all those three, in my opinion. He actually became a franchise player for the Knicks at one point. He was averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists until he hurt his shoulder last year for the New York Knicks. So I think trading Randall, they definitely could have made something work with Randall. Of course, he got injured. Like it was like his second game or like his rookie year or something like that when he got hurt. When they took him with the 7th pick. So Randall went on to be the best ones. I don't think they regret the Lonzo and the Brandon Ingram trade. And that's why I said, like, none of those people have nowhere near, even they're all around the same age right now. Like Lonzo's like 26, like Brandon's like 26, like, and Julius is like the oldest out of all of them. And Luka has like played levels above all those players. And like,
But you saw all of them come into their own. So you mean
for
to tell
sure,
me
absolutely. Like for
Well,
sure.
just to add,
yeah, go
well,
ahead.
just to yeah, well, just to add to that, because I mean, it's like this right here. When you look at when you read the room, right? Yes, you had Lonzo. Yes, you had Brandon Ingram and those other young guys, Josh Hart. But then when you bring LeBron in, obviously, that changes everything because and to be honest with you, I'm a big fan of seeing young guys develop and see what you have. But when you bring in a guy like LeBron, we all know again what his reputation is and what he's about, winning championships. And so it does make sense to where, okay, yes, we have these talented young guys, but at the same time, if we're trying to win a championship, then we need to bring in more win now players versus having to wait, a few years to see just what you got in these guys. Because we all know with LeBron during that time when he first joined the Lakers, it was more so I wouldn't say like a tight window, but there was a short window that is like, okay, when are we going to start winning now? So when AD was available, it's like, okay, we'll just package all guys up and whatever and bring AD in and then go for it now. But, and to Antoine's point, obviously, Lonzo, he was, okay with, Chicago and the Pelicans for a good minute. Same for Brandon Ingram,
Mhm.
but and of course Julius Randle with the Knicks. And all three of those guys, they turned out to be quite well. Julius Randle, he's did well with the Knicks. Brandon Ingram, an all-star. But under the same breath, it just kind of, for me, I just didn't think the Lakers were willing to wait that long to see what they had in those guys. If LeBron
And that,
was like coming in and trying to win now, I think that's the reason why they did it. So I don't
and
think it had
that's what
nothing
I'm
to do with the talent of the
and that's what
guys.
I'm getting at now. How long are you going to wait?
For Luka,
Hmm.
I think they're gonna
How
give him a
long are you?
long time, man. They're gonna give him a minute. Like, LeBron was 34 when he got to Los Angeles and he brought him a ring. So,
But
like,
again,
again,
The Lakers aren't known for waiting. As we
it-
as
The thing about that though, yeah, think about that too, because yeah, I don't know because I don't work in the front office, so
mm,
I don't know. I don't have any inside information. But it's like, okay, you have Luca now, then it's where, okay, what are you going to do to build the roster? Meaning, who's going to be Luca's, co-star, his Batman to his Robin. Obviously, that's not LeBron because he's, it's about time for him to leave, and he's going to, soon. So it's like it may take them a minute to, build the roster. And obviously that's why I say I don't think that they are done making moves, before this Thursday's trade deadline. I don't expect anything crazy now. Obviously last night what we saw, anything could happen. But I don't think it's going to be where like, hey, they just got Steph Curry or they just got Jason Tatum or player or something like that. I don't think nothing's gonna happen like that for the Lakers, but that's kind of the question is okay, after LeBron leaves officially, then where do they go from here? Because they're gonna need to build a serious championship contending team, and I don't see a move that can make them that right now. So that's kind of like the roadblock they gotta go through.
Exactly, and that's why I said like it cushioned the rebuild so much. Like, what do you need to win a championship at the end of the day? You gotta have a superstar. Like we just saw the finals. I mean, we just saw the Mavericks in the finals. Of course, Luka didn't have the best performance on the defensive end, but like he's only 25 years old. Something it might click for him at a certain point. Like playing in LA, where like all these idols have played, it really might do something for him like mentally. It really might make him click. It really might make him like hit that X factor. And like that's why I said like if I'm a Laker fan, I'm happy. I'm thrilled with this trade, like knowing we're gonna have him for the future. Like that's what were we gonna do with LeBron and AD? And their window was closing right in front of our
Right.
eyes. So like
Hmm.
it extends their window so much. It's a door now. Seriously.
Now I
With
do want to ask you something, Twan.
mm-hmm.
Now, this is just, speculation. This is just, for fun because people have thought and have their theories about this trade here. But I wanted to ask both of you, you and Wiley. So, and like I said, and NBA insider Jake Fisher, he reported earlier today that the Mavericks, they're not done making moves. But, and honestly, I don't think this would make sense, but this is why I just want to get your take on this. And some people have mentioned this as well. What if it's where they can get where now that they have Anthony Davis, but then they flip him to get Jimmy Butler?
Flip him to get Jimmy Butler. Like get rid of Anthony to take Jimmy instead.
Like now that they have Anthony Davis, but they flip him for Jimmy Butler.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like personally, I think they'll just sit with Anthony. Like if I had to really say what they really, really might do, I think they might just sit with Anthony. Again, he had just signed an extension with the Lakers. So
Yeah.
they got him in his prime for the next 2 years, at least 31, 32, and 33 for sure. He'll keep himself in shape. So and I'm pretty sure getting traded is gonna light a fire under him. And I do think they're gonna try to make more moves, but like they got Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, like PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford. Like they have these pieces on offense and on defense. So when you
Hmm.
really say the names out loud, they really do have a really good team. To be quite
Yep.
honest, that's why I said I think both teams truly won that trade. Not every team is trying to win now. Different teams have different agendas, and Rob
Oh,
Pelinka
of course.
Rob Pelinka himself knew the trajectory of what his team was going. Like just all this mesh of old and young talent, he just couldn't do it anymore. So it was just like, no,
Mhm.
like if we're young, we're gonna go young, and if we're gonna be young, I'm gonna get a young superstar. So especially with what And it was really strategic. Like if you're gonna both are superstars, trade the one you can still get more value for. But I think everyone would have taken LeBron James in a heartbeat for certain, even at 39 years old and stuff like that. But trading AD was easier because he was younger. He was on a good contract. They had just extended him, and he could still make something shake. He's healthy right now. So, but go ahead, Wiley.
I was gonna say that's actually that's not a bad idea, Garrett. Think about it. Anthony Davis gets to go. He goes to Miami. He doesn't have to play the center. You have Bam there. It also depends on like what the trade would look like. I'm sure it won't be a body for body type deal, but that's not bad. And Dallas was one of Jimmy Butler's spots, so he's from Texas. Like I wouldn't be mad at that. Like if they flipped him to do that,
that would be low key scary though. I mean, Anthony Davis and a Bam Adebayo front court. We all know Tyler Hero.
Yep.
Also, he's still young, but he's been shooting lights out.
Yeah.
And we all know Miami. They're like the Lakers. They want to be winners. So I truly believe that they will still be able to add more to that. But I mean, like I said, you never know what happens. But like I said, we have a few days left before the trade deadline this upcoming Thursday at 3 p.m. That's the cutoff time. So, but there's something to think about.
Yeah, man, and that's all I can really else add on it. Like we discussed around the hour, I think both teams won the trade, just for what they're both doing in their agendas right now. The Lakers won for the future. The Mavericks won for the present. The Mavericks are gonna be like one of the better teams in the playoffs. Both teams, both of their superstars have rings, so they both have championship experience. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens come playoff time. The Lakers, we'll see if they make any more moves. We'll see if Rob Pelinka's really done here. If we don't see them make any more moves, we know officially this was definitely not a win now move. It was a rebuild move, and they know they wanted to cushion the rebuild. They didn't want it to be a drought. They definitely didn't want to have to develop some 20-year-old. Even if it was Cooper Flag, they wouldn't want to have to like go that young and have to wait that long. It just wasn't gonna happen. So the Lakers got exactly what they wanted. A young superstar for the franchise who's not only a superstar on the court, but a superstar off the court. They got to have somebody like that. They're only accustomed to that. Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, like even like Kobe Bryant, obviously LeBron James. It has to be a name everybody knows off the floor. And they got it. He's only 25 years old on a good contract. So, and they're going to pay the money, best believe it, to keep him. They know what he's going to cost. The only thing that could be unexpected about this is that Luka just doesn't give them enough time. He said he was shocked when Dallas traded him, so we know that he indeed can be loyal. This is a whole new situation in a whole new state. You live in California, so I think he's gonna like it over in Sunnyside, most definitely, especially in Tinseltown, the city of celebrities. So I think he just has to give him some time. He has to give him some time. But I think he's going into the situation knowing that, not like he has a choice, of course, but yeah, I think he's gonna buy in from the jump. LeBron's gonna be in his ear from the jump, and I think playing with LeBron, being in the same locker room as him, is gonna do a lot for him in the last years of LeBron. It's cool that they got to play with each other. I'll say that, like for the future and stuff. It's cool they went on to play with each other. Luka Doncic and LeBron James. In my last 2 stints on the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving's on a good deal. I think he has about 2 years left on his contract. Anthony Davis just signed a 3-year extension, so he's there for the next 3 years. Of course, if they decide to move him, and yeah, like they have 2 good superstars. Like I said, they got championship experience, so they'll be good in the playoffs. They look good in the playoffs last year with their young pieces, which helped them get to the finals. So I think they're only going to pick up where they left off in the playoffs. Like they'll at least make it to the second round, in my opinion. And yeah, that's my take on it. Of course, this whole podcast was dedicated to this topic. So I do think that both teams won the trade for their agendas. And that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, to piggyback from Jay, what he said in the comments. Like you said, Dallas wins because they don't have to give Luka the Supermax.
Oh yeah, that too. That too.
Win.
Yeah, he's not eligible for it.
Yeah, both teams win on that front. They don't have to give him the Supermax.
Because
Uh,
Luca's already still like he was still on like his rookie extension.
yeah,
Like if Trey's still on his rookie extension, you know that Luca's still on his rookie extension. So yeah, and like we saw Jaylen Brown take home up, about 300 million. So I know Luca for sure was gonna get probably around 320, 315, something like that.
and then on top of that, with the press conference, like you can, like all of it stinks. All of it stinks for y'all, for Rob and what's the GM for the Mavs? Well, yeah,
Nico Harrison.
yeah, Nico, for them two to be in talks for 2 weeks about this, and nobody of importance knows. So from Dallas standpoint, J Kidd has no clue. From the Lakers standpoint, freaking LeBron doesn't, like, none of your key pieces know about this, which again, like I said, it's a hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of deal, and it looks shady as hell.
It's a cold world, man. It's a cold
it's
business.
a cold,
This is
It's a
cold,
it's a
business.
man.
cold world.
It's a business.
Like
Like,
I don't get no phone call. And
Nothing.
really, and the thing about it, Luca, he posted, I believe, on Instagram a screenshot of the missed calls he got from the
Mhm.
Maverick GM, like back to back. I'm just like, wow, just
it's a business,
oh
like,
man.
and that's the thing about these franchises. Like, they've had superstar players come and go, bro. These franchises are gonna be here forever. The superstar players come and go. Like, that's what the draft is for. At least that's what the GMs think. And they can't get too attached to no player because at any moment the player can come in there and request a trade. So, it's a part of it. When these players come into the NBA, when they get shot in out the draft, they're liable to ping pong to all 30 teams as long as you are signed with a contract in the National Basketball Association. It's just rare you see players of this magnitude get traded, especially Anthony Davis playing for this by his third team. He was in New Orleans. He was there for some years. Of course, that was massive when he left New Orleans. So he was in LA, won a ring over there. Anthony goes to his third and hopefully final team as a future Hall of Famer at his young age still right now. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see what's going to happen. It definitely shifted the landscape of the league for the next 5 to 10 years for certain. Seeing Luka in a Laker jersey is going to be pretty remarkable. I'm really waiting for next season, though. I want to see what the full version of the team looks like. The rest of this season is just about spectacle, and you're already about to see the revenue shoot up in like immediately for the Lakers. Like that number 77 is about to be everywhere for for the Lakers, all in LA. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like. And I honestly wonder if Anthony's gonna go back to 23 because he's in Dallas now. So that's my take on it. Both teams won the trade. The Lakers, they didn't want to rebuild like that, so it saved them from a big rebuild. It's a more of a retooling, sort of speak. And the Mavericks, they're still gonna win now for like the next 3 years or so. Um, Kyrie and AD, we'll see what time they start to fall off. I don't want to act like 34 is old and stuff like that. We see James Harden at 35 years old is still averaging 22 points and about 9 assists a game, and he's in the All-Star game right now. Of course, he's shooting like 39% this season, but he's still playing pretty good. So we know that these players can play into their mid-30s and things of that nature. So, which is another reason why we see Jimmy Butler trying to get a big contract right now. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if any more moves happen at the deadline. I don't think there's going to be any other moves that are bigger than the ones we just saw transpire last night. And yeah, Garrett, I can go to you first for your closing takes on it. And how do you feel about both teams as they head into the future?
Yeah, as I said before, I think this move makes the Mavs better in the short term, and then for the Lakers getting Luka for the long term. So I think it works out, but in different places for both teams. So, but like I said, this is definitely the most shocking NBA trade we've seen, in history. So that's no doubt about that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out for both teams, and more interesting for Luca and the Lakers on where they go going forward after LeBron retires, how they're going to build that team around Luca going forward. So we keep an eye on it. But yeah, this was just a crazy day. Crazy day.
And Wiley.
Uh, I mean, like you said, crazy day. I mean, I guess, man. I guess all I can do is look. All I can do is put my hands up. At least from a Lakers standpoint, just on the strength of like what's next. Like what is your next move?
Right.
Like what's your next move short term? What's your next move long term? Um, with Dallas, I like what they've done. I shit when you go down the roster, like they have a win now, like you said, a win now roster. Um, if they're planning to make more moves, I mean I'm willing to see what's next. Like you said, the deadline's around the corner, so we'll see what happens. Uh, I hope there's no more excitement like this. Actually, I'm lying. I root for chaos. That's me. I root for all the chaos. I want LeBron to go to State. Why? Just cause. I I want pure chaos on the timeline.
It's really crazy, man. Like these are $1 million moves made off of basketball. Like I always tell people, like before we close it out, like because obviously it was a big deal with this trade transpiring and stuff like that. But it's such a big deal, man, because like these dudes generate millions of dollars, bro. These dudes are children that are scouted as kids by grown men taking flights to different countries because these kids turn into grown men that generate millions upon millions of dollars. And I always tell people that don't really like, on the media side, that don't really get to go to games like that and stuff like that. When you're up close, when you really see the players, how tall they are, like the specimens, like someone like really seeing Kevin Durant like up close, like personal like that is like crazy. Like you really like you see why like they're millionaires. I always tell people like you see why they're millionaires when you see how tall they are. Like they're true freaks of nature. Hence why Giannis is called the Greek freak and stuff like that. And yeah, like man, these dudes get paid millions of dollars to play the sport. And like again, it's just like so much happened yesterday because this trade transpired. I only say all this because like just one trade sent like the whole world into a frenzy. Like it was trending everywhere. Like Fox News. I was seeing this like literally everywhere about Luka Doncic getting traded. So this is crazy. These dudes are just they're just basketball players at the end of the day, but they're the best in the world at that. So when moves like this get made at the heart of the NBA with Hall of Famers like this, we can only but help to react to like occurrences like this. And again, like I just wanted to say that because it's just truly crazy how like people were running to their podcasts, like ESPN. Like I'm seeing the Athletic; these dudes are writing all these articles at 3 o'clock in the morning, like getting this getting this news out because like it's the NBA. It's just like it's crazy. You feel me? Seriously, but it was a great trade. A memorable one, gonna be remembered like until the end of time. People still talk about Chris Paul getting vetoed, trying to go to the Lakers, and he was forced to go to the Clippers instead. And yeah, I guess it's really crazy to see all this happen. Um, and like, yeah, I think it's good for the league. It's good to mix it up like this. I never thought I would never see Luka out of a blue and white uniform. I thought he'd be in the white and blue, literally until he retired. So we'll see what happens. I do want to ask this one last thing. Both y'all can just answer it, I guess, for both players. Do y'all think both players get jersey retirements for their respective franchises on the Luka side? Obviously, he is a legendary Maverick, one of the best to ever wear the blue and white jersey. They made the finals. He was there for 7 years. He obviously left a mark on the arena. Not too much playoff success, but like I said, they did make the finals at 1 year, like I said. And for Anthony Davis, clearly a superstar while playing for the team. He helped bring a championship to the Lakers. So I was just curious about if y'all think, and obviously two players that are going to go in the Hall of Fame. We know that franchises like to have Hall of Fame players walk through their doors. So, Gary, you can close us out. Wiley next. Do y'all think these players get jersey retirements for their franchises?
I know I even said this on X because Twan, you tweeted this out, and I said there was no way possible. But now that I think about it, I think there's a possibility that Luka could get a jersey retirement because he at least led them to the finals. But and he's been there for 7 years, and obviously, like I said, he's a global icon. So I think there's a slim. I think there's a possibility that he would. I'm not sure what the likelihood would be, but I think there's a chance that they would. So I don't think it's out of the woods. We all know, like you said, that both AD and Luka are future Hall of Famers for sure. But jersey retirements, I think for Luka, I think there's a good chance that he would. Now for AD, maybe. I just think that he was only there kind of for a short stint. Yes, he helped LeBron win a championship. And I think if you're able to, and look, we've seen many players who may not have led a team to a championship or to the finals appearance, and they still got jersey retirement. So I think just more so of like how much of an impact they made on that team. And I think that really comes, down to it. So for AD, I think it's possible that he could as well. I don't think it would be as much as Luka because Luka he was there for his entire I wouldn't say entire career, but he's been there throughout his career thus far until he got traded. And so for AD, it's kind of up in the air. But we've seen many players for the Lakers that have had many players had their jerseys retired from them. So I think it's a slimmer chance compared to Luka.
I don't know, man. And I look at it from a stance of what we're talking about right now. Like the Mavs got rid of Luka for whatever reasons, whether it's weight, whatever. That's kind of hard to come by. So unless a new regime in Dallas comes in and kind of looks back and be like, you know what, we'll retire his jersey. That's the only way I can see it. With Anthony Davis, I do not think so because he wasn't the focal point. I think had he become more of the focal point and stayed a Laker,
Right.
then he would have had a better shot.
Right.
That's the only way he would get his jersey retired. But to answer the question,
oh no.
it's a hard no.
Nah, you had that one ready. Nah, for sure. You definitely had that one ready. For sure, man. Great show tonight, y'all. That's it for me. Like I said, I thought both teams wanted for the position that they are in. The Lakers are building for the future. The Mavericks want to win right now, and they're certainly going to do so with Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and Anthony Davis to headline their roster. And the Lakers have their future with Luka Doncic as a 25-year-old superstar. So we'll see what happens. Like both gentlemen said here, be surprised if anything else happens at the trade deadline. We'll see, though. Of course, you never know with the National Basketball Association. And that's it for me on this Sunday evening. I want to thank y'all again for joining us for this emergency podcast. Definitely had to get this out. And that's it for me, unless you two boys got anything else y'all need to say.
Nothing else. See y'all next episode.
Next time.
God bless y'all. Good night. Thank you.